Hey guys, what's going on? We got a Elemental Shaman PvP guide here. It's a little bit late in the season, but there has been quite a few changes along the way. And 10.2.6 is going to release very soon, as well as they already announced 10.3 will be out in several weeks afterwards. So who knows what changes are to come anyways, but yeah, this will be the up-to-date guide for Elemental. Um so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over talents, I'm going to go over stat priority and gear pieces, and then I'll go over kind of like a rotation type of thing that you do as Elemental. So let's get started with the talents. So left side is pretty generic. I'm not going to go over it too in depth because all of it is utility and CC. If you're brand new to Shaman, I would you don't really have to worry too much about this side if you follow forward with all of this. Basically, nature or ancestral guidance gives you heal for damage, and then you get your lasso, your movement, and stuff. The only one, pardon me, I would recommend changing every so often is this one where you got Spirit Walk and Gust of Wind. Basically, it's going to depend on your comp that you're fighting and the map you're on. Because Gust of Wind can be used to jump up over ledges, like small ones, just to get a little bit of an edge on the melee. And Spirit Walk is very good against roots and stuff like that. So, as you get experience on it, you will be um, more comfortable switching in between the two. Other than that, there really isn't much difference. You could take Thunderous Paws for one stack of surging shields or something, but like it's not really worth it. But let's get to the important side. We got the elemental side. And rather than going in depth over every single one of these talents, I'm sure most of you are familiar with how elemental might work. And if not, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. So you got your fire alley, your earthquake, and stuff like that. This one is kind of important. The primordial fury. Basically, any critical healing you do is now increased by 50%. Rather than just the 200%, it's now 250. Other than that, the other key talents are going to be your Wind Speaker's Lava Surge. Basically, every time you use your Maelstrom Spenders, you gain a instant cast Lava Burst. The other one is going to be, where is it? There it is, Surge of Power. Basically, anytime you use your Maelstrom Spenders, your next ability, based on what it is going to do something different or gets a small buff. So for Flame Shock, it'll apply to an additional target. For Lightning Bolt, it'll cause 2 additional overloads, meaning it'll strike 3 times rather than just once or twice. Chain Lightning will hit another target. Lava Burst will reduce the cooldown of your Fire Elemental, and Frost Shock will root the target, so be wary of what you use after you Earth Shock. A lot of times you're just going to be spamming out Lava Burst, but if you're kiting a melee, you might want to weave in a Frost Shock every so often, or if you're trying to get Flame Shocks off on like pets and stuff, because it does help out a little bit, you might want a Flame Shock to get out 2 rather than just 1. Another one that's important is your Primordial Wave. This one is a big burst cooldown, even though it is on such a short cooldown, and you're going to be reducing it like crazy, and you're going to get a big haste buff afterwards, so keep an eye on that. Basically, you're going to press it, and then you're going to press Lava Burst right after, and it sends out Lava Burst to all the targets affected by your Flame Shock. And remember, this also applies Flame Shock as well, so you don't have to Flame Shock the same target as your Primordial Wave. Elemental Equilibrium is an important one because once you deal all 3 forms of your spell damage, you get an 8% increase in damage for 10 seconds. Very, very good. It will always proc with Primordial Wave because Primordial Wave deals elemental damage, so it will instantly proc. Other than that, there isn't really anything else important. Basically, you're going to be doing a similar rotation to things. You're going to be weaving in a Frost Shock every so often to kite and stuff like that. So, Elemental isn't too complicated at all, so it's very beginner friendly. But let's get into PvP talents. So these are the primary 3 I run with. Sky Fury increases your critical damage of you and your team. Cage Totem allows you to kind of move targets around and keep them locked into place until the totem is killed or despawns. And Grounding Totem prevents all magical effects being casted on you until the totem absorbs or is destroyed one by one spell. Another option is if you're fighting, let's say for instance, a double melee, you might want to switch into Burrow. That will help you survive. It gives you another cooldown and an invulnerability, as well as a bit of CC on the knockup as well. So very, very important. And if you're fighting, let's say like a warrior caster combo, you might want to switch Sky Fury for Unleash Shield just so you have an extra knockback to keep them away. Very, very good, very helpful. It also roots them if you have Earth Shield active as well. So keep that in mind for when you're fighting annoying comps. I feel like a lot of people are probably wondering about Volcanic Surge. This is a talent that was redesigned. I think it was redesigned in Season 2. Basically, it increases the damage of your Lava Burst and Lightning Bolt, and your Lava Surge no longer increases the or gives you a free Lava Burst. It reduces the cast time of your next Lightning Bolt by 25% up to 50. So, is this useful? No, not really. Is it good for some memes? You're darn right it is. It's a lot of fun to mess around with. But in actual arenas, I wouldn't run this unless I'm trying to do some meme stuff. So the way to run this would be to take your ascendants. And then basically what you would do is you would primordial wave, and then you would cast up a lava burst, and then you would ascendance right away, and then earth shock into another lava burst afterwards. This will give you a lot of lava bursts out on one target and deal a lot of damage. So that's the only other way you can really use it. Other than that, there's no reason to have it. The 45% really isn't all that much, especially when you consider you can get 2 lava burst casts off within the time it takes to cast one of these. So it really isn't all that great. Seasoned Winds, I wouldn't really take either. Although it can be useful if you're fighting. So if you're fighting, let's say, this is a very specific comp, it would be Shadow Play, which is Affliction Warlock and a Shadow Priest. That would be the only time I would run Seasoned Winds, just because there's no point to ground any of their spells, so you would drop Grounding Totem for Seasoned Winds. That's the only time I would switch it out. But as for that, that's about it for this tree. Oh yeah, there are 2 builds. Forgot to mention this. And there's a slight difference, but it depends on what stat priority you want to do, whether you want to do Mastery or Haste. I personally do Mastery, so I choose Magma Chamber for the bigger Earth Shocks. But if you want a bit faster gameplay, you can go with Searing Flames. This will generate you a lot of Maelstrom. You choose Haste for this because Flame Shock damage has a 100% chance to generate Maelstrom, but in PvP it's only a 60% chance. So each tick of Flame Shock is going to have a chance to generate a lot. I prefer Mastery. The reason why is because rather than having this 60% chance to generate 2 Maelstrom, I have a chance on every single spell I send to generate a bit of extra Maelstrom, as well as a bit more damage as well, because it's like an 85% damage buff in a sense. So I prefer Mastery myself, but Haste does have its benefits, and a lot of the pros still use Haste. So it's really up to you. If you want to follow what the pros do, go for it. If you want to follow what I'm doing, then feel free to. It might not be optimal, but I haven't had an issue, and I've honestly been winning a lot with it. So but let's get into stat priority. So as I mentioned, you can either do Mastery or Haste, then it goes Versatility, then it would be Mastery or Haste, depending on what you want to run, and then Critical Strike. The reason why you choose Mastery, if you want, is because every time you use one of your spells, aside from your Maelstrom spenders, you have an X% chance to deal it again at 85% of the power, plus you generate a little bit less Maelstrom from it than what it would originally do. As for Haste, it only increases casting speed, but it also increases how fast your Flame Shock ticks, how fast you cast Hex, and how fast your Healing Stream ticks as well. So it's up to you. I personally prefer the mastery build. I come from enhance, so my gear was already set to mastery anyways, and plus the recent build for PvE is also mastery. So it's been a lot. It's been very nice, and I really love the elemental mastery because overload is just so cool. It's nothing like anybody else's. You have a double strike, and it's awesome. So I like seeing that happen, especially when you have 3 flame shocks going and you just see a million lava bursts going out. Feels great. But anyways, on to the gear. So for the crafted pieces, I am taking the Infurious Boots of Reprieve. The reason why I take these is for the extra burst. These can be changed out for precognition if you want to, although I don't really I don't do that because rarely am I ever casting as elemental. The only thing I'm going to cast is either Hex or Ice Fury. I don't really care if they kick me on Ice Fury because it's a waste of a kick for them. A little bit care on Hex because it does lock me out of nature, but most of my damage is going to be fire anyways. But yeah, the precog does come with a nice thing where you cannot be CC'd during it, so that is kind of nice. So it's up to you between precog and the reprieve boots. These are not a embellishment, so or they are an embellishment, but not like a thing you have to buy off the auction house. They're just the boots themselves. As for the bracers, these are also something that's just themselves. These are probably the best in slot in all scenarios of Shaman in PvE and PvP. The adaptive bracers are amazing. They have haste mastery. They give you crit and verse based on if you take some damage. And then if you deal critical damage, you gain haste mastery. So it's pretty amazing. These are like a must have, I believe. They are a bit expensive to make, but it's worth it in the long run. I don't think these will ever fall off as you play a shaman. So but yeah, other than that, I have gemmed for heavy mastery haste because I want my mastery up there. When I'm in PvP combat, I'm around a 78%. So it's pretty good. But yeah, I have a haste mastery ring. You could do verse mastery haste verse rings from PvP if you don't feel like crafting one. I prefer having this, but it is my PvE one as well, so it's already 486 and I didn't have to buy a token thingy. Other than that, Uh, I think everything is pretty the same. So you just do haste mastery if you want, or a little bit of verse haste also. So it's up to you. There's nothing really changing it. I do pants. As you can see, they are enchanted with enhance in mind, as I am an enhance main. Uh, chest, shoulders, and gloves. And I just grabbed the PvP helmet there with the mastery verse. But yeah, all the pieces mastery verse or haste verse, up to you, depending on what stat you want. But let's get into the rotation. So you want to make sure your weapon is imbued with flame tongue. The reason why is because improved flame tongue gives you 5% fire damage. Pretty great. But to start off, we're going to summon our fire elemental, then we're going to primordial wave, and then we're going to flame shock a target. So it's going to kind of look like this. Fire Ellie, Primordial Wave, Flame Shock. And then you Lava Burst, Earth Shock, Lava Burst, Earth Shock, Lava Burst, Earth Shock, Lava Burst, Earth Shock, Lava Burst. And then we're kind of stalled out, so we'll Ice Fury if you can. If not, just keep running around. And then you Lava Burst, Earth Shock, and then we Primordial Wave again. And then we Lava Burst, Earth Shock, Lava Burst, Earth Shock, Lava Burst, Earth Shock, Lava Burst, Earth Shock. So you can see I'm not casting at all. It's just instant casts all the way. As for anything else, so to really burst a target and you have Sky Fury, basically you're going to Primordial Wave, you're going to Flame Shock, and then you're going to Sky Fury. Typically you would Purge just to use a global, and then you're going to Lava Burst. The reason why you Purge is because you want to check and see if the healer is going to dispel your Flame Shock right away. Very important. So you just want to kind of wait a global. If they don't dispel it, they don't dispel it. And then you can unload your lava burst onto them. So again, we're going to do Fire Ellie, and then we're going to Primordial Wave. And because of our tier set, we are getting a Elemental Blast on him, so we can proc a Power Surge and get a double Flame Shock. And then we're gonna Lava Burst, Earth Shock, Lava Burst, Earth Shock, Lava Burst, Earth Shock, Lava Burst, Earth Shock. It's pretty great, pretty simple, straightforward. You do need to use your pet's meteor, as you can see. Boom. I have a macro for that if you want it. It is right here. You can ignore this part because that's just a potion for my PvE rating stuff. But cast Meteor. Basically, when you summon the Fire Ellie, the next time you press this button, he'll use his spell, the Meteor, and it will rain down on them. It does quite a lot of damage, so make sure you try and use it. Very, very good. Other than that, that's about it for the rotation. There isn't really much. Throughout playing your arena, though, make sure healing stream is always on cooldown. Very, very important. If you watch my arenas, I tend to forget it, but this is a big part of your healing. You'll be surprised how much it does. Nobody really kills it either, so it's kind of funny. The other thing is make sure your shields are always active. It's a big part of enhancement and elemental themselves. As for utilities, so your static field totem, I would recommend. I don't like having it as an at cursor like my earth grab because I like to see what I can grab. See, earth grab it. I just put it down and he grabs stuff. But I like to see what I'm going to cage. And if you want to move targets with your cage, you drop it, take it, and don't go too far. Make sure the circles can overlap, and then it will pull the targets. If you try to move it from there to that wagon there, it's not going to work because it's way too far away. When this totem was first introduced, you could actually pull through people through pillars. It's kind of funny. Kind of messed up too, but yeah, you could do that if you were wondering. But as for other things, would you ever take since you're doing a mastery build, Mountains Will Fall, would you ever take this? No, because you have to drop Windseeker's Lava Resurgence, or you have to drop Splintered Elements, so it kind of sucks that you can't do that. It I would like to, but it's just not in the cards for Elemental at the moment. Um, if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments, or I'm usually live almost every night, I guess. So if you want to check that out, it's usually on YouTube and Twitch. So feel free to come ask questions whenever you want. But yeah, that is it for this guide. I really hope this helps you out with your elemental arenas. I wish you the best of luck in arena or RBGs, whatever you like doing. And I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Laters!